When you think of the Great Wall of China, what comes to mind? A massive, impenetrable fortress stretching across thousands of miles, a symbol of ancient China's strength and ingenuity. Right, we've all seen the pictures and heard the legends. It's a wonder of the world, a testament to human determination. But what if I told you that this colossal structure, this icon of defense, actually failed? A lot. In fact, its history is filled with breaches, bypasses, and outright erasure. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of myth and look at the surprising truth behind why the Great Wall wasn't the invincible barrier we imagine. This is the story of how the Great Wall of China failed, and why its true purpose might be something else entirely. First, let's get one common misconception out of the way. There isn't just one Great Wall. It's actually a massive network of walls, fortresses, and watchtowers built, rebuilt, and modified by various dynasties over 2,000 years. The earliest sections date back to the 7th century BC. The most famous and well-preserved parts, the ones you see in most photos, were built by the Ming dynasty between the 14th and 17th centuries. The idea that it's a single, continuous wall is a romanticized myth. In reality, it was a fragmented and evolving defense system. And this fragmentation was one of its key weaknesses. There were always gaps, unfinished sections, and areas where the terrain made construction impossible. Clever invaders didn't need to smash through a wall if they could just walk around it. Let's talk about the Xiongnu, one of the earliest and most persistent threats that spurred the wall's construction. These nomadic warriors from the northern steppe were masters of horseback archery and lightning-fast raids. For dynasties like the Qin and Han, they were a constant headache. The wall was intended to stop them, or at least slow them down. Did it work? Well, not always. Historical records are full of accounts of Xiongnu riders finding gaps, scaling less defended sections, or simply overwhelming small garrisons. The wall was more like a speed bump than a full stop. It could hinder large-scale invasions and make it harder for raiders to escape with loot and livestock. But it couldn't completely seal the border. The vastness of the frontier meant that it was impossible to man every mile of the wall effectively. But the biggest threat to the Great Wall wasn't a battering ram or a siege engine. It was something much more insidious. People, specifically, betrayal and bribery. One of the most famous examples of the wall failing spectacularly was in 1644, at the end of the Ming dynasty. The Manchus, a powerful force from the northeast, were poised to invade. They were held at bay at the heavily fortified Shanhai Pass, one of the most critical gateways in the entire wall. It seemed impregnable. So, how did the Manchus get through? The Ming general guarding the pass, Wu Sangui, simply opened the gates and let them in. He made a deal with the invaders to help him defeat a rebel army that had taken the capital, Beijing. In that single moment of betrayal, the entire purpose of the Ming Wall, built over 200 years at immense cost, was rendered useless. The Manchus marched through, crushed the rebels, and then decided to stay, establishing the Qing dynasty, which would rule China for over 250 years. This wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout history, gates were opened for gold, tactical alliances, or political ambition. The wall was only as strong as the loyalty of the people guarding it. Another major challenge was the sheer scale of the project. Maintaining a structure this large was a logistical nightmare. The wall stretched through remote mountains, deserts, and grasslands. It was constantly battered by wind, rain, and snow. Sections would crumble and collapse. It required a massive, permanent force of soldiers and laborers just for upkeep, let alone defense. During times of peace or internal turmoil, maintenance was often neglected. Weaker dynasties are those preoccupied with problems elsewhere, and the empire simply couldn't afford to keep the wall in good repair. This created even more weak points and gaps for invaders to exploit. The cost in money and human lives to build and maintain the wall was staggering, and many emperors and officials throughout Chinese history debated whether it was even worth it. So, if the wall was so frequently breached and bypassed, why did they keep building it? Was it all just a colossal waste of effort? Not exactly. To understand its true value, we need to think beyond the simple idea of a physical barrier. The wall was a powerful political statement. It was a clear, visible demarcation line between the civilized, agricultural society of China and the barbarian nomadic cultures of the steppe. Building the wall was a way for an emperor to project power, unify the country behind a common cause, and define what it meant to be Chinese. It was a monument to the emperor's ability to command immense resources and protect his people, even if that protection was more symbolic than absolute. The wall also functioned as a sophisticated communication and control system. The network of watchtowers was its real genius. Sentries could use smoke signals by day and fire by night to relay messages about enemy movements with incredible speed. A signal could travel hundreds of miles in just a few hours, far faster than a messenger on horseback. So, even if the wall couldn't stop raiders, it could ensure they didn't get very far. It was less of a wall and more of a tripwire. Furthermore, the wall was an economic tool. It helped control trade and migration along the Silk Road and other trade routes. The gates and passes in the wall acted as customs checkpoints, where the government could levy taxes on a constant flow of goods. This generated significant revenue for the state. It also helped manage the movement of people, preventing mass migrations that could destabilize the border regions. In Tissensei, it was an instrument of state control, channeling and regulating the flow of both people and wealth. So, when we ask if the Great Wall was a success or a failure, the answer is complicated. As a purely military fortress meant to be an unbreakable shield, it failed numerous times. Its history is a testament to the fact that static defenses are often no match for human ingenuity, determination, and corruption. No wall is tall enough to stop an idea, and no gate is strong enough to keep out a bribe. But if we view it as a multi-purpose system, a political symbol, a communication network, and an economic regulator, then its legacy looks very different. It succeeded in defining China's borders, projecting imperial power, and controlling the flow of trade and information for centuries. It was a tool that shaped the relationship between China and the outside world. The Great Wall of China is a perfect reminder that history is rarely black and white. It wasn't an invincible superweapon, but it also wasn't a complete failure. It was a complex solution to a complex problem, with a mix of successes and shortcomings. Its enduring power today is not as a military barrier, but as a cultural icon, a symbol of perseverance, and a fascinating window into the grand, messy, and incredible story of China. What do you think? Was the Great Wall a brilliant feat of engineering or a monumental folly? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.